Henry meets a blonde beauty in the subway. He decisively approaches and says hello to the girl in Russian. The girl is curious. How do you know I'm Russian? Henry says, you just had chocolate, and that kind of chocolate is only enjoyed by Russians. Then he wishes the blonde girl a smooth performance tonight. The blonde girl doubts. How does he know everything? Is this guy a supernatural being? Henry explains, I see press marks on your fingers, and the distances are very wide, but there is no mark on the chin, so I conclude that you play the cello. The blonde girl is still puzzled. How do you know that I have a show tonight? Henry continues to explain, I see your collar band is a little wet, so you had just taken a bath. He guesses that the beauty is going on a date or taking part in an important event. If it's a date, someone would pick her up, so Henry guesses that the girl should be having a show. The girl is elated by Henry's teasing and willingly invites Henry to go to watch her performance, then have coffee together. Henry is of course very pleased. However, at this moment, an accident happens. Everyone on the train is dead, but Henry miraculously returns to life after death. What is all of this? We must return to 200 years ago. On a stormy night, the captain suspected that a crew member had a serious infectious disease, then ordered his underlings to throw that crew member into the sea. Henry as a doctor pledged his life willingly to assure that crew member just had a common cold. The grumpy captain didn't listen to the explanation at all, then killed Henry with one shot and threw him into the sea. From that moment on, Henry has the superpower to revive. He thinks it is a curse from God to make him experience the tortures of life in cycles. For Henry, this should be a good thing, but there is one thing that makes Henry very embarrassed. Every time he dies, he will revive naked under the water. Walking in the crowd, people think he is crazy. Immortality allows Henry to keep learning, and keep seeing new things. However, he also has troubles, like his wife will grow old, sick and die, but he won't. For this immortal freak, he has no idea what is the meaning of life, because the last thing he lacks is time. The secret that Henry is immortal is only known by his close friend Abe. Abe is the orphan he and his girlfriend picked up during World War II. It can be said that he is watching how Abe grows up. Although it sounds incredible, it's the truth. Every time after Henry dies, he always ranks the deaths based on pain levels. After numerous deaths, Henry has become a real death scientist. By studying deaths, he wants to break the curse so he can get a true death. If he wants to understand the deaths, he has to go to the place with the most deaths. Therefore, he gets a forensic job in New York City. The female lead, Jo, is a police detective. She has to investigate the train accident. On the train, she finds the pocket watch that Henry forgets. The police suspect that the train driver died because of a heart attack that led to this accident happened. The passengers who were on the train were buried with him. They have to wait for the forensic examination result to know the specific cause of death. The next day, Jo comes to the forensic department to get the autopsy report. Every time Henry sees a beautiful woman, he will show his best reasoning skill. Seeing the press mark of the ring on Jo's finger and how she puts the ring on the necklace when divorced people always throw away the ring directly, he infers that Jo's husband might have passed away and the time is less than 1 year ago. As expected, he also guesses right this time. After the autopsy, Henry finds that the driver didn't die because of the heart attack but was poisoned to death. There is a large amount of foam in the lungs of the deceased. This can be confirmed after poison analysis. At this moment, a mysterious person calls. The mysterious person asks Henry how can he survive the subway accident. Why did the passengers on the train die but he is unscathed? Henry feels something is wrong and quickly hangs up the call. The secret of immortality is revealed, makes him feels the crisis for the first time. He plans to take Abe to leave this place, then find a new place to start again because he has experienced similar things several times before. The scientists took him to the laboratory, drained his blood and cut his heart just to understand the secret of his immortality. Everything is so clear, so this time Henry must leave. Abe says hiding like that is not a way, it's better to stay and find the mysterious person to figure things out. The next day, Henry gets a mail from his fan. Seeing what's inside the envelope, Henry is suddenly terrified. It's an old photo of him and his girlfriend. Looking at the photo, Henry falls into the memory again. His girlfriend Abigail also knew his secret. He thinks God must have his reasons for this arrangement. Henry suspects that the train accident was caused by the mysterious person and the purpose is to prove that he is immortal. Abe says if that's true, why didn't he shoot him to death? Why did he have to make it an inconvenience? To find out who poisoned the train driver, Henry has drained a tube of his blood. He plans to try the poison himself to know the ingredients of it, then find the killer based on the ingredients of the poison. Without hesitation, he tells Abe to inject him with the poisoned blood. Henry is quickly poisoned to death, then revives in the river full of blood. Henry finds out that the poison's ingredient is aconitine, which enters the blood after it touches the skin, makes the lungs produce a lot of foam, then makes people poisonously die. When investigating the subway surveillance, Jo sees a familiar figure. Oh my God, isn't this man Henry? Everyone on the train is dead, he is the only one who's still alive. Jo suspects Henry is the killer, so she invites him to the police station. Henry says he is a forensic doctor, he wouldn't be stupid to kill people with aconitine. The effect of the poison comes too fast. If I want to kill someone, I'll use a needle. It won't show any effect until a few weeks later. In this way, I will have the evidence that I wasn't at the scene. At that time when Joe went to the forensic place to get the autopsy report, if Henry was the killer, he would tell her directly that the driver died because of a heart attack, not asking for trouble, and said that he was poisoned to death. Henry's words are reasonable and there is no motive for the killing. Moreover, the police have no evidence to arrest him. After going back, Henry performs an autopsy on the driver again. As expected, behind the ear of the dead he finds an injection hole and a fingerprint. To help the police solve the case as soon as possible, Henry immediately gives the fingerprint to Joe. After using the database to compare, they find out that this fingerprint is Hans's. Therefore, Joe and Henry come to Hans's house to understand the situation. Henry finds aconite near his house. With this, it can be concluded that Hans is the killer. They find out that there is a laboratory in Hans's house. There are still residues of poison in the beaker. When they're searching, Hans comes back. Arrest time, Hans breaks Joe's pistol with the beaker, then takes the opportunity to escape. Henry must help Joe to treat the wound or she will very quickly be poisoned to death. Through the investigation, Hans is a scientist with no previous convictions. 3 years ago, his wife accidentally fell onto the subway track and was run over to death by a train. Therefore, Hans always has a grudge against the train driver. After 3 years of careful planning, he finally killed the driver. However, things are not as simple as they thought. In Hans's laboratory, the police find a lot of poison and many patterns of marine life. Henry says on the roof of Grand Central Station, he had seen these patterns. Hans's wife was run over to death there. His target must be more than one train driver. Thinking of this, Henry feels that something big is going to happen and immediately rushes to the central station with the police. It's a bit cold in the station, so they turn on the central air conditioning. If Hans put the poison into the air conditioner through the ventilation duct, all passengers in the station will be poisoned to death. But when they run to the top of the building to check, they can't find any unusual things. When Joe relaxes her vigilance, Hans appears from behind and shoots her. When having a conversation with Hans, Henry knows that he believes it was the negligence of the New York Transportation Authority that made her wife fall onto the subway track, so he wants to avenge society to remove the pain in his heart. During the fight, Hans shoots Henry. When his plan is about to succeed, Henry holds Hans firmly and jumps from the top of the building. The next second, he revives with full of blood again. When Henry goes to the hospital to visit Joe, that mysterious person calls again. "Hey bro, I heard that your blood was splattered last night. Why are you still alive?" Henry asks what on earth does he want. The mysterious person says he wants to die like him. It turns out that the mysterious person is the same as Henry, he is also immortal. Suffering pain, curse and torment, at the end of the film, Joe says that there is another murder nearby. She wants to ask Henry to be her forensic doctor to investigate this case. Okay, this is the end of the episode of the American film, Forever. I will continue to explain the second episode to you tomorrow. Welcome to See you next time.